we started a new topic. And just before half term, you started learning about David Attenborough, a famous naturalist. Did anyone watch any documentaries?
No.
No, you should. You'll really enjoy it. Oh, Lisa's coming in again. So today's lesson, did everyone finish the David Attenborough work that I sent you?
Hello.
Almost.
I'm marking it so soon.
I finished.
Good.
I finished.
Good.
I finished the worksheets, not the video.
That's fine, as long as you're working through it and you can show
Yeah,
me
me
that you're
too.
working through it. So before we start today's lesson, can anyone tell me what happened 2 nights ago that made
Yeah, I know.
Go on, Kenzie.
The first human went to the moon.
No, that happened years and years and years ago. Something happened 2 nights ago in America. Did anyone watch it on television?
Yeah.
No.
When
What happened?
they threw like fire and stuff.
No,
Oh,
that
I
the
know.
riots that are happening at the moment.
Miss, I know.
Something historical, which Kenzie knows, happened 2 nights ago. Go on, Kenzie.
I know.
The protests.
No, not the protest. Something Donald Trump was watching and it got cancelled about 5 days ago. And eventually, 2 nights ago,
About George Floyd.
the chance that it would happen, and it happened. What was it? Come on.
Somebody going to the moon, or I don't know.
A space.
Going to the moon?
A space rocket.
Spaceship?
Oh, exactly. Whoever said spaceship is correct.
I did.
Well done, Kenzie. So today we are going to be looking at a different spaceship. And we are going to be talking about Apollo 11. Apollo 11 is the mission where the first man walked on the moon. Does anybody know the name of the first man to walk on the moon? Come on, his name. Kenzie, I believe you're getting help from someone.
Yes. My
Disqualified. Let's see if your dad knows. Does your dad know?
Daddy, you need to tell them what's the name of the.
What's the name of the first man?
Miss, I know.
Omelets, Neil Armstrong.
Omelette Armstrong. Well done. It was Neil Armstrong. So we're going to carry on our topic on famous scientists and inventors. And this lesson is called Mission to the Moon. And your learning objective today is to learn about the first human being to walk on the moon and to learn about the key events that led up to this historical moment. Now, there are many people who don't believe that he really did walk on the moon, but I believe. So your title today, as I said, is Mission to the Moon. Don't forget the date and the learning objective. So this is Apollo 11. Look how beautiful she is. Really exciting, isn't it? So, in July 1969, may I just add that I was not born in 1969. I'm not that old. 3 men traveled 240,000 miles from Earth to the moon. 240,000 miles. That is a very long way. And they did so in the largest, the most powerful rocket ever built. And the name of this rocket was Saturn number 5. I am now going to tell you their story. Okay, so these are the 3 astronauts that were on board Saturn V, and they accompanied the mission Apollo 11 to. This is Mission Commander Neil Armstrong. So he was in charge of the whole operation to get to the moon. This was Command Module Pilot Michael Collins. Now, a module is every section of the rocket. So as the rocket goes higher into space, it comes into pieces. Okay, and on this particular space rocket, there were 3 modules, 3 capsules. And he was the command module pilot of one of the capsules, and his name was Michael Collins. Then we have the lunar module pilot, and his name was Edwin Buzz Aldrin. Okay, so these are the 3 very famous astronauts that went to the moon in 1969. I presume that you have all heard of NASA?
Yes.
Good. So this is an aerial photograph of NASA. This is where the rockets take off from. And there we go. You have a photo of Saturn number 5. Okay, quite impressive. Any questions so far?
Miss, what was the title again?
Mission to the Moon. When we finish the lesson, you'll be able to go to the first slide and see. Okay, so days before the launch, the mighty Saturn V begins its 1 mile per hour journey from the vehicle assembly building to the launch pad 3 miles away. So at 1 mile per hour, that is about 1.6 kilometers per hour. This launch pad takes the rocket to the launch pad. The launch pad is where the rocket takes off from. Kenzie, you have your hand up. Kenzie,
Yes, I just want to say something.
go for it.
My dad has been there, and it's called Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah, Kennedy Space Center. I've been there as well. And if any of you ever get a chance, you should go. I'm going to try and do a virtual school trip there. So if it's all to NASA space station as a class, and then we can tell the rest of the school that we've been to America on a school trip. So early morning, and mission commander Neil Armstrong suits up ready for liftoff. There he is, getting dressed in his attire to go in the space shuttle. And before long, all 3 astronauts are heading out for the launch pad. So here we go. The whole world is watching. This is going to be a historical moment in time. 9 seconds before liftoff, the rocket's 5 engines are ignited. They are lit. They are turned on. It was 1:32 p.m. the 16th of July, 1969. This is supposed to make a sound for you, but it's not working. Whoops. Okay. Anyway, I did put a sound button, but it's not working. This is Saturn number 5 with its engines lit, ready for liftoff. Okay, and here we go. It's taken off, and this is a view of the Earth from the shuttle. Look how amazing that looks. Okay, the Saturn V was built in 3 pieces called stages, or modules, like I said to you. As each stage uses up its fuel, it will then be released, it will be detached, and it will fall back to Earth. Okay, so the higher the rocket goes, it loses a compartment of the space rocket. And these pieces that it loses fall back to the Earth. Now, don't worry, they are never going to land on your head, on your house, on our school. It is calculated. It is calculated meticulously, and they fall into the sea. So you will never, ever actually see the remains of the capsule falling onto you. So there's no danger. But as it uses up fuel and they run out of fuel, compartments fall off and they fall back to the Earth. Look how amazing this picture of the Earth is. That's where we live, guys. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, from the moon view.
Exactly. So 12 minutes after liftoff, so 12 minutes after takeoff, they are in orbit around the Earth. This means that they are already circling around the Earth, and they are traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. Now, let me tell you in kilometers how fast that is. It is 27,200 kilometers per hour. That is incredibly fast. And it works out to about 4.6 miles per second. Okay, so imagine Elguna entrance gates to school. This rocket would cover that distance in 1 second. Pretty quick. Okay, so now the third stage of Saturn V had to fire its engine once again to increase speed to over 24,000 miles per hour. Now, 24,000 miles per hour is 38,400 kilometers per hour. Can anyone even imagine how fast that is? Anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But to me, it takes little time.
I mean, 37,000 miles per hour is incredible. It is so fast. So this allowed the rocket to break free from orbit and shoot them off on their 4-day journey to the moon. So they needed to go incredibly fast because they needed to reach the moon within 4 days. Okay, it is so far, and they are traveling at an incredible speed. You know, when you are on a roller coaster, that feeling of, you know, you're going so fast that you can barely breathe. And this is why astronauts need so much training, because the speed in which they are traveling is so unnatural. They need to train their bodies to be able to withstand this incredible speed. Okay, so the spacecraft that reached the moon was actually in 2 pieces. So while it was traveling, it broke into 2 pieces. The command module,
the main part. Okay.
sorry? No. The command module, called Columbia, was flown by Michael Collins and would stay in orbit around the moon. So the capsule that's called Columbia never actually touched the moon. It just stayed in orbit. It kept circling the moon. This was one capsule, one module out of two. Because remember, one capsule they lost and it fell back to Earth. This is one of the two capsules that are left. And then the lunar module, which is the third capsule, would detach from Columbia and take Aldrin and Armstrong down to the surface of the moon. Okay, do we have any questions until now? No? All right then, so let's move on. So while in lunar orbit, so while they are circling the moon, this photograph, which is very famous, was taken showing the Earth rise from the moon. So that's what planet Earth looks like from the moon. That
Yeah, and
is
from Earth, that's how the moon looks like.
exactly, and from Earth we know what the moon looks like. So now you can see how, if there is life on the moon, what they see, that's where we live. But we see the moon as this grey circle in the sky, which sometimes we can't even see. But look how bright planet Earth is. I have to say, it's absolutely beautiful. And you can even see the weather on the Earth. You can see the clouds. You can see the continents, which we are learning in geography. You can see the oceans. You can see various countries. It is spectacular. Okay, so the lunar module, the lunar capsule, separated from the command module, so the main capsule, and began its descent down to the surface of the moon. So after it broke off, it began to go down towards the surface of the moon. And on board were mission commander Neil Armstrong and lunar module pilot Buzz Aldrin. Okay, so these were the famous astronauts that stayed on the shuttle that reached the moon. And this photograph is a close-up view of the Apollo 11 landing site at Mare Tranquillitis. So Apollo 11 is the name of the mission that these astronauts were on to reach the landing site. And now the translation of Mare Tranquillitas is Sea of Tranquility. Okay, so until now, after what I've told you until now, do you believe anyone walked on the moon?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe it. I believe it. I do believe it. So 6 hours after landing the lunar module, Neil Armstrong climbed down and he set foot on the moon. He was followed out 20 minutes later by the other astronaut by the name of Buzz Aldrin. Okay, so they both climbed out of the capsule, out of the module, or the spacecraft, whatever you want to call it, and they set foot on the moon.
So, if
yeah,
wait, if that's Neil Armstrong moving, the person getting down, the person who took the photo is the one who walked on the moon first.
I'm guessing Neil Armstrong is the one taking the photo.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but that's a very good point you've made, Tarek. Someone needs to be taking the photograph. You're right. I doubt in those days we had selfie sticks and I don't know what else. So I think you're right, Tarek. Well done. Good observation. So here, once they stepped foot on the moon, they spent 2.5 hours working on the moon. They were setting up scientific experiments, and they were also collecting samples of rock and dust. Oh, why is this not working? They also planted the American flag and took photos of themselves and their surroundings. So they took some very, very famous photographs of themselves on the moon. And because they were American and they were sent by the Americans, they put the American flag on the moon. Tarek, is that your hand up?
No.
No. So before I continue, does anybody think that their footprints are still on the moon today?
Maybe.
Who said
I
maybe?
doubt it.
Salma.
Yeah, maybe.
I doubt
Alma,
it.
why do you doubt it?
Because nobody went there after them, I think.
Okay, but what way would the footprints and the flag disappear?
Because there's no wind, there's no air in the moon.
You've done your research. Well done. I will touch on that point in a minute. So it is said that the footprints they left behind might remain for thousands of years because on the moon there is no wind or rain, and wind and rain is the only thing that can actually erase the footprints and remove the footprints. I have 2 hands up. Mustafa?
Oh, this house coordinator.
There is no wind in the moon. So,
Exactly.
so how when they put the flag is just moving?
Because there's no gravity on the moon. So theoretically, everything floats. Okay, so that flag that you see is actually floating. Yusuf, Muftah?
The flag could have could have been not there now because there is no gravity, so there's nothing to keep it.
But they planted it, unless it got lifted out, we don't know. They planted it deep in the ground of the moon. So maybe it's still there, or maybe it lifted and it's floating around space. We don't know.
Or maybe another life form took it.
Or the aliens came and took it. Good observation.
There's trillions of planets.
There are so many. We don't know what's out there. But after spending a total of just 21 hours on the moon, Neil and Buzz blasted off to rendezvous with Michael Collins, who was waiting in orbit for their return. So the third astronaut was in the third capsule, and he was circling the moon. And once Neil Armstrong and Buzz had finished their mission on the moon, they then went to join their colleague astronaut, Michael Collins, in the other capsule. Okay, and then on July the 24th, 1969, the command module of Apollo 11 re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and successfully deployed its parachute. Columbia, which was the name of the capsule, safely splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, and the astronauts were immediately rescued and taken on board the USS Hornet. So that inflatable thing you see in the sea is called the USS Hornet. And that is what rescued the astronauts when they came back into Earth. Now, when I told you that the third module of the spacecraft detaches and falls back to Earth when all the fuel is consumed, it is calculated to land in the sea. So now, when these astronauts entered the Earth's atmosphere and they have to fall back to Earth, they parachute back to the sea. And the USS Hornet knows where they are going to land. So they are actually waiting for the astronauts to land to rescue them. Kenzie?
Miss Kylie, when the module falls in the water, how is like the people rescued from the actual module?
No, they parachute. So once the capsule enters the Earth's atmosphere, like any other parachuter, they parachute out of the capsule and they just free fall back.
At least they did not faint from high
Okay,
pressure
so they
wind or
parachute.
something like this. While
Oh, someone's talking, I
skydiving.
can't hear.
Mohammed is talking.
Mohammed, you have something to say?
No.
Salma?
Miss, then where does the rocket go?
The rocket disintegrates. So when it comes back into the Earth, normally entering the Earth's atmosphere, it should catch fire. And all the leftover pieces will just fall into the sea. It will fall to Earth. But it will never ever fall on us because it is calculated so carefully that it will land in a safe place. But the astronauts cannot stay on board. They have to parachute out of the space rocket, and they also land in the sea. Any more questions?
No.
So, on board this inflatable device, the Hornet, waiting for them was American President Richard Nixon. However, because there was a fear that the astronauts might have brought back moon bugs, they were placed in quarantine for 21 days. Now, guys, we have been in quarantine for longer than these astronauts.
What's moon bugs?
Moon
Yeah.
bugs, a virus. What are we doing now? We're staying at home because there's a horrible virus. So America were worried that
What
they
are the
yeah.
Why were they kept in a?
What are the symptoms of the moonbug virus?
Google it. I honestly do not know. So America was scared that maybe these astronauts would bring back a virus from space. So they quarantined the astronauts in a separate place just in case they did bring a virus back, and they were quarantined for 21 days. Now, when the astronauts were allowed out of quarantine, they became national heroes. Every city that they visited held in their honor, and thousands turned out to cheer, clap for them to say, well done, you are our heroes. And they eventually toured the world as ambassadors for America. So they were representing America. In July 2009, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, and Neil Armstrong met American President Barack Obama as part of the celebrations for the 40th anniversary of landing on the moon. So look how old these astronauts look now. When they landed on the moon 40 years ago, they looked like young men, didn't they? Now,
They did.
yeah.
They died, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Or are
You
they?
can look it up. But what I'm trying to say is these men carry history. These men have a story to tell. Has anybody got their hand up?
July 2009 is actually 1 month after I was born.
Wow. So nearly 40 years after they landed on the moon, Yusuf Muftah was born.
What
So,
year was it?
1969.
When they landed in the moon.
In 1969, they landed on the moon, and in 2009.
My mom was still alive by then.
Good. So she might remember it. So landing then probably the greatest scientific, engineering, and technological achievement in the history of the human race. And it is summed up perfectly by Neil Armstrong's historic first words. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon at 2:56 a.m. on Monday, the 21st of July, 1969. And where he landed was named the Sea of Tranquility, the moon. And there is his...
Wait, some of the moon hasn't been discovered?
I mean to do that. There is his famous footstep on the moon that could still be there today. Yusuf, tell me.
But 2:56 was what time? Like in different places
4
around the
minutes.
country?
Oh, I don't know. In every country around the world, it'll be a different time. But for him, I'm guessing he's basing it on American time. So at 3:04 in the morning, he landed on the moon. And the most famous words that came out of his mouth were, that's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Did you guys find this interesting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And 2 nights ago, America saw a space shuttle lift off into space, and we will be looking at that in our next lesson.
You can't tell me about the shuttle because we're learning about it next lesson.
Yeah, exactly, Kenzie. Don't cheat with your dad. We'll do some fun things with the shuttle that took off a couple of days ago, and I'm going to look into taking you all on a school trip to America, possibly next lesson. For now, you have got an attachment, a sheet that accompanies this PowerPoint, and I would like you, I've given you a week to do it. However, it should not take you more than 10 minutes to do it. Okay, if you find this topic interesting, we'll whiz through it. So ideally, I would like you, before next lesson, to I have sent you. However, if you don't, it doesn't matter because I have given you 1 week to keep the work. So, any questions from my beautiful year 5?
No.
I have a question.
What?
Nobody sent me any song suggestions.
This is my song.
I was thinking about it.
I
Yeah,
want
me
a
too.
really cool song, and I'm
Do
so
we have-
out of touch with music.
Miss, I think I have an idea.
Me too. I think I have a good idea.
Miss
Yeah.
Kylie,
Yeah.
yesterday
yesterday my brother was playing like a playlist, and then there was like a song that I think was really good, but I don't know what the song name is. It didn't.
Okay.
Can you just
If you guys find the names of the songs, can you text it to me? And even better, if you find it on YouTube, send it to me. And then we will put together something really cool that we will
I
send.
know the name of the song. The Steve was Tom.
Liz, I have an idea, but
Congress.
I only want to send it to you in private.
Okay, send me a message, Lisa, and tell me what your idea is. We have less than 1 minute. Hatton. Hi. If you're there, Adam, yeah. Yassine, Ellie, I miss your face. I want to see your face. By the way, guys, all the work you're doing, okay, only some of you handed it all in. Please do not throw away work you do for me because I need it all. And I hate to tell you this.